Welcome to Senior Stay or Go TV, a show to educate, entertain, and advocate on behalf of our aging adults. We are here to provide you the best information for your quality of life.
Welcome to the second part of our San Diego Senior Housing segment. We'd like to thank LaRue Fields and Elena Kalinowski, who were with us last month. This month we have Bill Kelly again, who is a senior advocate and consultant. And we also have Paul Downey, who's the president and CEO of Serving Seniors. Welcome, gentlemen.
Great to see you.
Thank you,
Paul,
Betty.
thank you for being here. Bill, good to see you.
Thank you. Good to see you again.
It sounds like you had a good trip.
I did have a great trip. Thank you.
Welcome back.
I'm almost rested, I think.
Paul, we know you're the president, CEO of Serving Seniors, so tell us a little bit about that organization and what your services and core mission is.
Well, our core mission is to help seniors in poverty survive. I mean, it's about providing safety net services. So we do meals, we do housing, we have social workers that are helping with entitlements, nurses to help with health care, a lot of collaborative partners. But the idea is that if we can keep a solid safety net around seniors who are living in poverty, A, they can live independently, which is what they want to do, and then B, we know that independent seniors tend to be healthier. And so by keeping them healthy and independent, they're happier and the community is happier because it saves money. People don't need to go to long-term care. And if we can keep people from needing the long-term care and be able to stay at home until they pass away, we've achieved our mission.
And I think it's important that the audience know that you're not a rookie at this. You've been doing it, and I think that's important that you understand this every which way.
Well, and I actually started as a volunteer with Serving Seniors 31 years ago, and I've been the president CEO for the last 22. So, wow. Been involved in this for a long time. Started young, and now I'm almost old enough to qualify for our services.
Is there a qualifying age?
It is. It's 60 and above. And there's a lot of different ages when you talk about what is a senior. I mean, if you talk to AARP,
exactly.
They're going to tell you at 50. We use 60 because the Older Americans Act, which provides funding for our nutrition program, uses 60. But you can be eligible for early Social Security at 62. Medicare is 65. Or depending on when you're born, it can be up to 67, and who knows, it may be even older. So it's kind of all over the place. And then if you ask the typical person who's 70 or 75, are you a senior? They'll say no. So.
And so 22 years to
Yes.
see. What's the major impact that you've seen over the last 22 years, or where is this going?
Well, I think the kind of the scary thing that we're seeing is it's the numbers. It's the combination of the numbers and the economic insecurity. So in this country, I mean, between today and 2030, we're going to almost double the number of people over the age of 60. And by 2030, about a quarter of the population is going to be over the age of 60. A quarter of the population will still be 18 and under. So when we talk about things like Social Security and Medicare, that's the problem, is you're going to have half the people roughly in the middle supporting half the people on either end, and the arithmetic doesn't work. Mm-hmm. Then when you add in economic insecurity, the Elder Index, which was put together by UCLA, tells us that almost 1 in 2 seniors in the state of California doesn't have enough money to meet their basic needs. And so we're talking about food, healthcare, transportation, and housing. So they are struggling to survive on a daily basis, and we're going to have more people. And from a policy standpoint, we're really not focused on building the solutions and the infrastructure that we need in order to address these issues.
It's almost a little bit ironic in that I am a baby boomer. I wasn't born yesterday. This wave has been coming along for a number of years, and yet everybody's like, oh my God, it's happening. When did this happen? It's like, it happened a long time ago. This isn't anything new, I think. And with the advancements of modern medicine, people are living longer, and I think that's the part that people weren't banking on. Not the fact that our numbers weren't large and great, but the fact that people are living a whole lot longer than anybody anticipated.
Well, that's true.
Yeah.
I'm a baby boomer as well, and so it's actually it was our parents' fault. That's the
They get blamed for everything.
if you want to look at it that way.
You're absolutely right, Patty. I mean, they've done study after study, both at local, county, city levels across the nation, state level, national levels for the last at least a decade. And all these things have been coming up over and over that Paul has told you about. And the last time I gave you some statistics as well that hold true from some of the same sources. But we don't seem to be addressing the problem. And I think it's partly because the seniors themselves need to be proactive. They can't wait for somebody to give it to them. They're going to have to demand it a little bit more of their politicians. I don't see that happening until we make some noise.
We're making noise.
I
Well, I
think the
think
baby
that's-
boomers will make the noise.
I
I
hope
think
so.
the greatest generation
Yeah.
didn't make the noise.
Well, and I think that's exactly right. I mean, the
Exactly.
baby boom generation,
We're used to being noisy.
used to being noisy, and being ready to stand up and fight. But we have to get people to pay attention. That's part of the problem, is that we don't see at the national and even the state level the champions that we need. And so my concern is that we're all going to wake up on New Year's morning in 2030 and say, oh my gosh, where did all of these people come from, and why didn't we do something about it? And
I
so
hope
that's
not.
what we're trying to do now, is that we need to build infrastructure and get elected officials to maybe look beyond the next round of tweets and focus on building sustainable policy to deal with it. There's also the other side of it, is there's this whole cohort of people who bring incredible talent and ability and experience. And the question is, how do we utilize? I mean, Bill's a great example. I mean, he's retired, but he's really not retired.
No.
No.
He's working harder now than when
Than
he
I ever
had full-
did.
Than he ever did. But it's finding people to keep them involved and active in the community and taking advantage of the skills and abilities that they have. And so that's an opportunity. And so sometimes we look at aging as, all the problems, but we have this huge opportunity, and we need to seize it.
Absolutely.
And okay, so that
Absolutely.
volunteerism. On your website, you mentioned that quite a bit. So I really want the viewing audience, let's get out there and help. What can they do for you?
Well, what they can do, I mean, we serve our meals. We serve about 2,400 meals a day,
2,400 meals a day.
365 days a year. We
And
have
how many locations?
10 sites in San
Wow.
Diego. From downtown San Diego, we go down to San Ysidro, out to the East County, in La Mesa and Lemon Grove, Spring Valley, Mira Mesa, City Heights. And so one of the things we like to do is, when we serve the meals, is the dignity of having the meal served, as opposed to having to line up to get your meal. In fact, that's how I was introduced 31 years ago. I was working for the mayor of San Diego, and our office came over to serve lunch. And I admit, my first time over, I was dragged. I admit, I was dragged to go serve lunch. I wasn't that excited. But when I got there, I really got engaged talking with these folks.
They have phenomenal stories.
And so I actually volunteered for the entire duration that the mayor was in office, and then was fortunate a few years later to have the job come about. But that volunteering, so serving lunch, coming and doing birthday parties, doing St. Patrick's Day parties, Valentine's parties, are great ways to do it. But if people have other skills, so if they would, if we have a psychologist who would like to come in and do some groups, we'd love to have those kinds of volunteers. Volunteer attorneys who would be willing to do some pro bono work for some of our seniors.
And who would they contact? I mean, how did, was it
Well,
on the website? Or?
On our website, servingseniors.org, there's a place to volunteer.
Okay.
A little form you fill out. It goes to Tim Ruiz, who's our director of volunteers. He'll get back to you and get everything coordinated. And again, we operate 365 days a year. So if you're working Monday through Friday and want to come in and volunteer on Saturday or Sunday, we're
There's a
there
place.
for you. Or a holiday, we need help. Literally every day of the year.
And let's just focus a little bit, because we're talking about senior housing. Tell us a little bit about where you're that direction.
Well, housing, from my perspective, is the number one issue that these folks are facing. I mean, the median income for the seniors that we serve is $850 a month.
Oh, wow.
That's about $120 below the federal poverty level on a monthly basis. Many of them are living in the single-room occupancy hotels downtown, where they're spending $675 to $700 a month for a 90 square foot room with a shared bathroom down the hall and all of the unsavory critters that you could ever imagine in that, living in with them in those rooms. So out of the 850, they're spending 700. I mean, you can do the arithmetic on what people are trying to get by on. If you want to go to a HUD building, those you're looking at 5-6 year waits. To get a Section 8 voucher from the San Diego Housing Commission is 11 years. 11 years. So if you're 75 years old and you go in and apply for a voucher,
Odds are.
probably
Not
not
gonna
going to
happen.
happen. We have two large complexes that we operate, one in City Heights and one in downtown. Our City Heights, I have 150 units. I have 170 people on the waiting list. Reality is 3/4 of those people will never get in. That's just the reality. So the demand for housing kind of is the issue that people need to focus on, because if you don't have a safe place to live, you're not focused on your health, you're not focused on your nutrition, you're not able to give back to the community. So building more housing has to be the solution that's out there. We need to look at building along transit corridors, density, so that people can move around, but take advantage of the limited land space that we've got here in San Diego.
Well, you know my idea, and I'm going to just say it publicly. What's going to happen over the next 10 years to all the Macy's department stores, the Penney's department stores, the Sears department stores? Bye-bye. Why not?
Yeah.
Let's get some money. Let's get some public-private financing to take over those department stores and put in some terrific housing options.
Oh, it'd be terrific.
It's a perfect location.
It's great.
It's transit.
Transit friendly.
Transit friendly.
Yeah.
Adding to what Paul has already said, I mean, the resident hotels are also disappearing.
What's that?
A lot of them are
The resident
disappearing.
hotels are disappearing.
Oh,
They're being
okay.
bought up, and other things are being built that turn more money.
Yeah, I mean, land is too expensive to have it be an SRO, so
Right.
condos and whatnot, and so that's the cheapest market rate housing that's out there. As bad as some of these units are, it's what's available, and trying to find a place to live. I mean, we find even people who have Section 8 vouchers, which means they're going to pay 1/3 of their income for rent, and the landlord is able to get a market rate rent. But finding landlords that will accept it is a challenge, because the vacancy rate is less than 3%. So landlords don't want to mess with the government bureaucracy and red tape that goes with accepting a voucher. Used to be vouchers were gold because a landlord
He was
knew that he or she
guaranteed.
was guaranteed money, and that's not the case. So people wait 11 years, get the voucher,
And then can't
still
use it.
can't find a place to live.
Also adding to what Paul had said about the meals, I mean, 2,400 a day, is it?
Yes.
So that's a lot of meals, and he's just one organization. There are a lot of other organizations that are serving meals too. So we're not just talking about 2,400 seniors that need meals. We're talking about thousands more that need meals. Some of them have to have them delivered to their homes because they can't get out. Some of them are living on the street and can't make it to these locations. So it's a lot larger problem than a lot of people realize.
But do we have to convince everybody that the not in my backyard syndrome just can't apply anymore, and the density factor, the ability to put in a granny flat or whatever you want to call it in today's world, that's just the way it has to be?
It has to be. I mean, and people need to get over that resistance, and particularly on the transit corridors, that's where we need to have the density. But looking at it, there's some legislation in Sacramento right now that would allow the sort of easier regulation as far as the granny flats to allow people to use that space. I mean, we need to do that sort of thing. The numbers we talked about a couple of minutes ago are real, and if we don't have places for these folks to live that they can afford, we're going to have real problems. I mean, for us, we also have a homeless program. So we have 18 units of transitional housing for homeless seniors, and we've seen a 167% increase in the number of homeless seniors from between 2015 and 2016, and we're waiting for the new numbers here in 2017 of homeless seniors, and it's about 1,400 that they counted in the downtown area. And so these are folks that have had all sorts of things happen in their lives, but trying to get them from the street into a permanent housing situation is a major challenge, but it's also very expensive from a community perspective. So building housing, which is at the heart of the housing first model, works because it's cheaper to house them than it is to take care of the police, fire, paramedic, ER, hospital bills that are associated with somebody who's living on the streets.
And I know our time is running short, and I know you have an event coming up, so please go for it.
Sure. Well, our Experience of a Lifetime event is on April 27th at the Del Mar Country Club. It's our biggest fundraising gala. We've got all sorts of premium wines that have been donated. The chef is putting together a special menu for us, and people will get a chance to bid on some really special auction items, including some very high-end wine that is being donated by Gary West. So we're very, very excited about it. If you're interested, again, off of our website, servingseniors.org is all the information, and would still got a few tables and seats left, and would welcome anybody who would like to join us.
So I hope people show up and fill the room.
Hopefully they will.
And for people that don't know this gentleman, Paul, you are a pillar of this community, and you have done amazing work. And anybody who's involved in anything to do with serving seniors and helping seniors in San Diego know of the tremendous advocacy that you do, and I congratulate you and
thank you
applaud
very
you
much.
for what you do.
Very
And
kind
Bill,
of you.
you are beyond.
Well, my whole thing is putting people together to make
Yes,
these problems
you
get
are the
solved,
networker
so-
superstar, and I
yeah, so
appreciate
that's it.
everything that you're doing to benefit people here in San Diego. And I hope this message gets reverberates around the country, because this is not just a San Diego issue.
No,
It's a national. It is
it's
a
a
national
crisis.
issue.
It's a crisis.
We haven't called it a crisis. Many people don't, but
Paul,
it is a
serving
crisis.
seniors, please get on his website. Please be active. Please talk to people who are working in this area. It is an important project. Bill, thank you for being here today, and we'll see you next month.
Okay.
Thank you.
Very good.
Appreciate it. Thank
Have a
you.
great day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And stay tuned for more Senior Stay or Go.